Okay, greetings one and all, and welcome to this math video. In this math video, we'll be considering the topic mean, median, and mode. Let's begin. Okay, this question says that a fisherman has 10 groupers for sale. The mean weight of the groupers is 14 kilograms. He sells 2 groupers that weigh a total of 32 kilograms. Find the mean weight of the remaining groupers. So the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to write this equation. We know that the mean weight, right? The mean weight is going to be equal to the sum, right? The sum of all the weights divided by the amount of weights that we have. Now, how many weights do we have? How many groupers do we have? Well, it says a fisherman has 10 groupers. So in total, there are 10 groupers. So that's why we have 10 at the bottom. And the sum of these 10 groupers, the sum of their weights, so we're trying to figure out, and that's why we have X, right? So again, the formula for mean weight is going to be equal to the number of groupers that we have, which is 10. And on top, we're going to have the sum of all of their weights. All right. Now, we currently don't know what's the sum of all their weights, but that's what we're trying to figure out. Okay. So with this equation, we know, what we do know though, is that we do know that the mean weight, they told us in the question, is 14 kilograms. So this is very important. They didn't tell us the sum of all of their weights, right? But they did tell us what is the mean weight, and they did tell us the amount of groupers. So again, the first thing we do is we write the formula. The formula for the mean weight is going to be the sum of all the weights, which is X, right? The sum of all of their weights, all of the weights of these groupers, divided by the amount of groupers that we have, which is 10. And so it's going to be X over 10 because we don't know what the mean weight, we don't know what the sum of the weights is. That's what we're trying to figure out. But what is the mean weight? They say that the mean weight of these 10 groupers is 14. So we're going to substitute 14 for the mean weight, 14 over 1. And then what we're going to do, we are going to cross multiply to find the value of X. So we say 14 times 10, which is going to be 140, and then 1 times X, which is going to be X. And so we have 14 times 10, which is 140, and 1 times X, which is going to be X. So that means that the sum, right, of the weights of the 10 groupers, the sum of the weights of the 10 groupers is 140 kilograms, right? And now, what we need to do, well, we need to find the mean weight. That's the question they're trying to ask us. They're trying to ask us, the question that they're asking us is to figure out the mean weight of the remaining groupers, right? So now we know 140 is the sum of the sum of the weights of all 10 groupers. That's what 140 is, the sum of the weights of all 10 groupers. In order to find out the mean weight of the remaining groupers, what we need to do is we need to figure out what is the sum of the weights of the groupers that are left. So it says that he sells 2 groupers, so we have to subtract 32 kilograms from 140. Why? Because it was in total 10 groupers, which weigh 140. Now we're gonna take out 2, which in total is 32 kilograms. So we have to take away 32 from 140. So the weight of the 10 groupers, I just said that's 140 kilograms. That's the weight of the 10 groupers. But if we want to find the weight of the 8 groupers, we're going to say 140 minus 32, and that's going to give us 108. So the weight of the 8 groupers, or the weight of the remaining groupers that are left, is going to be 108 groupers. That's the sum of all their weights, right? 108 kilograms. But now we want to find the mean weight of the remaining groupers. So in order to figure out the mean weight of the 8 remaining groupers, it's going to be 108 kilograms, which is the sum of their weights, right? 108 is the sum of the weights of the 8 groupers, divided by the amount of groupers that we have, which is 8. And so it's going to be 108 divided by 8. And so the answer is going to be 13.5. So the mean weight of 8 remaining groupers is going to be 13.5 kilograms. Okay, let's move on to the next question. This is 2019. It says, in the first 8 days of the month of May, the rainfall was 15 millimeters, 5 millimeters, 0 millimeters, 11 millimeters, 5 millimeters, 6 millimeters, 15 millimeters, and 5 millimeters. They said for the first 8 days of May, write down the modal rainfall. Now, modal is mode, and mode is the most popular value of the data set. It is the number that appears the most. So which number appears the most? That's definitely going to be 5 millimeters. So 5 appears one 2, and 3. So there's no other number that appears more times than 5 millimeters. So the answer is 5 millimeters for the modal weight. Sorry, that's 5 millimeters for the modal rainfall, right? Because mode is the number that appears the most. Okay, let's move on to the next question here. They want us to figure out the mean daily rainfall. Well, mean is going to be the sum of all these weights, right? Divided by the amount of, the sum of all these rainfalls, right? The sum of all these rainfalls divided by the amount of days that we have, right? So let's add them. So it's going to be 15 millimeters, 5 millimeters, 0 millimeters, 11 millimeters, 5 millimeters, 6 millimeters, 15 millimeters, and 5. We're going to add all of them up. So we're gonna find the sum of all these measurements, right? These are actually measurements, right? Measurements of rainfall. So the sum of all these measurements of rainfall divided by the amount of days that we have. And so when we add them up, we get 62 millimeters divided by 8 is going to be 7.75 millimeters. And that's the mean daily rainfall. How do we get that? We add all of the measurements and then we divide it by the amount of days that we have, which is going to be 8. And so the answer for the mean daily rainfall is 7.75 millimeters. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we want to find the median rainfall. In order to figure out the median mean rainfall, what we need to do is we need to organize this data set from least to greatest. So let's do that. So here we have 0, then 5, then 5, then 5, then 6, then 11, then 15, then 15. So we organize them from the lowest amount to the highest amount. Next, what we need to do is we need to connect the 0 with the 15 and connect the 5 with the 15 and connect the 5 with the 11. And we have 5 and 6 that are in the middle. So the median is basically the number that is in the middle. Now, since we have an even number data set, that means that we have two numbers in the middle. And if you have two numbers in the middle, now sometimes you have one number in the middle. You have one number in the middle when you have an odd number data set. But in this case, we have an even number data set. That means that we have 8 numbers and 8 is even. So, and we have 8 data points. And since 8 is even, that means you're gonna have two numbers in the middle. Whenever you have two numbers in the middle and you're trying to find the median, what you do is you have to add those numbers, add them, and divide it by 2. And so we have 6 plus 5, which is 11 millimeters divided by 2. And 6 plus 5 is 11 divided by 2. And so the answer is going to be 5.5 millimeters. So the median rainfall is going to be 5.5 millimeters. Okay, let's move on to the next question. It says, it did not rain on any other days of the month of May. Calculate the mean rainfall for the entire month of May. Now, May has 31 days, right? So May has 31 days. So we have 15 for the first day, 5 for the second day, 0 rain for the next day, 11, 5, 6, 15, 5. That's because it rained on these days, right? That's why you have 11 millimeters of rain, 5 millimeters, and it was not. Except for this one, it didn't rain. Whenever it doesn't rain, it's gonna be 0 millimeters of rainfall. So it says it didn't rain for the rest of the month. So we gotta put zeros for each of the other days. And if you add all these up, if you actually count them, it's actually 31 numbers because it's over 31 and there were 31 days. So we add what we had the first 8 days plus the rest of these zeros, right? And all of this is 31 data points. And so we put it over 31. So when we add it, it's going to be 62 millimeters all over 31. And the answer is 2. Okay, let's move on to the next question. For his mathematics project, Donald took a survey of the numbers of occupants in each of the 30 cars that entered the school parking lot. The table below gives the results of his survey. So here we have a table format. And so the number of occupants is 1. And the number of cars, this is very important, the number of cars that had one person in it is 11. So you had 11 cars that pulled up there that entered the school parking lot, 11 cars, had only one person inside of that car. Now you had 8 cars, right? The number of cars, 8 cars that only had 2 persons. Then you had 5 cars that had 3 persons inside of it. Then you have 3 cars that had 4 persons inside of it. You have 2 cars that had 5 persons inside of it, and you had 1 car that had 6 people inside of that car. So notice that we have have it in in a tabular format. And the ones that we had prior were just listed numbers. So if you want to understand it better, or if it's better for you to understand it in this way, you could just list the numbers, right? So list them out instead of having them, instead of having them in tabular form, you could actually list the data set. So this is actually the data set that we have. Remember, 11 ones. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 ones because 11 cars came with only one person in it. And then you had 8 twos because there were 8 cars that had only 2 occupants. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. And then what we have? We have 5 cars that had 3 in it. And so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we had 2 cars that had 5 occupants. I'm sorry, you had 3 cars that had 4 occupants. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, right? So 3 cars had 4 people inside of it. 1, 2, 3. And then you had 2 cars that had 5 people. 1, 2. And then you had 1 car that had 6. So you only have 1, 6. So this is the data set represented in a list form, right? Listed out. So if you could understand it in this way, that'll be fine as well to list it out. Or you can keep it in a tabular format, whatever way you think is better for you to actually understand it. But now they want the total number of occupants of the cars. And so all we need to do is add 11 twos, add all of the ones, add all of the twos, add all of the threes, add all of the fours, and add all of the fives, add all of the six. So how are we going to do that? Well, we have 11 ones. So it's going to be 1 times 11 plus 8 twos. So it's going to be 8 times 2 plus we have 5 threes. So it's going to be 5 times 3. And we have 3 fours. So it's going to be 4 times 3. And we have 2 fives. So it's going to be 5 times 2. And then we have 1 6. So it's going to be 6 times 1. So we multiply them and then add them. So it's going to be the total number of occupants of the car is going to be 70. Now we want to find the mean number of occupants of the we want to find the mean number of occupants per car. Well, what we have to do, we have to add the sum, which we already did. We add all them up and we got 70, right? And so it's going to be 70 divided by 70 divided by the amount of data points that we have, right? And so we have 11 ones, we have 8 twos, we have 5 threes, we have 4, we have, sorry, let me say it again. We have 11 ones, we have 8 twos, we have 5 threes, we have 3 fours, we have 2 fives, and we have 1 6. So we add them all together, and that gives us what? 30. So it's going to be 70 over 30. And so our mean number of occupants per car is going to be 2.3, and that 3 is recurring. All right, and this should not be, it's not the 2 decimal point. This is just, I just put it in a form that indicates that the 3 is recurring. So we don't need this right now. Okay, let's move on to the next part. Here they said they want the median, right? The median number of occupants in the car, the median. Okay, so the median number of occupants, well, remember, in order to do the median, you have to list your numbers in the data set in ascending order. And then you're gonna try to find the number that's in the middle. So, well, we know that this one goes with that 6. And then we also know that this one goes with this 5. And then we know that this 1 goes with this 5. We also know that this 1 goes with that 4. We know that this 1 goes with this 4. We know that this 1 goes with this 4. We know that this 1 goes with this 3. We know that this 1 goes with this 3. We know that this 1 goes with this 3. We know that this 1 goes with this 3. We know that this 1 goes with this 2. I mean, this 3 again. This 2 goes with this 2. We know that this 2 goes with this 2. We know that this 2 goes with this 2. So that means that we are left with 2 2's in the middle. So in order for us to find the median, right? So the median, remember, if we have 2 numbers that inside the middle, what we have to do, we have to add them and then divide by 2, right? So we're gonna say the median is gonna be equal to what? 2 plus 2, put this in bracket. So we have to add them and then divided by what? Divided by 2. So 2 plus 2 is going to be what? 2 plus 2 is going to be 4. And 4 divided by 2 is going to be what? It's going to be 2. So the median, right, is 2, right? The median is 2. That's one way to do it. Now, we also have another way that we could do the same question. So let me erase all ink from the slide. Another way we could do this question is we could remember this formula. So the formula tells us that the position of the mean, we could find it by doing n plus 1 all over 2. But first, we have to construct this chart. This chart, the first one is the number of occupants, the next one is number of cars, the next one is cumulative. So cumulative just means adding it up, right? Just means adding it up. So at first, we have 11 ones, so we just have 11. And then, so that's these first 11 ones, right? And then we add 8, right? And so 11 plus 8, that's the 8 twos. 11 plus 8 is going to be 19, right? So from this 2 all the way back is 19 numbers, right? Then we come at the 19 and then we add what? We add 5. So 19 plus 5 is going to be 24. And that 5 accounts for the 5 threes. So from this 3 all the way to that 1, we're looking at 24 numbers, right? And then we're going to add this 3. So 3 plus 24 is going to be 27. And that's because we have 3 4s. So that's this 4, that's this 4, that's that 4. So from this 4 all the way to this 1, you have 27 numbers, right? And then you have 27 plus 2. 27 plus 2 is 29. That accounts for these 2 5s. So from this 5 all the way to this 1, you have 29 digits. And then the last digit is 6. So you have 29 plus 1, which is 30, right? So in total, you have 30 digits, right? Now, how does that help us to find the median? Well, we know that n is going to be 30, right? That's how much digits that we have. And so we say 30 plus 1 is going to be 31 divided by 2. Now, the formula says n plus 1 divided by 2. That's going to tell us the position of the mean. So this is telling us that the mean is going to be, this is telling us the position of the median, right? So the median is going to be in the 15.5 area, right? In the 15.5 area. So whatever is going to be between the 15th number and the 16th number, all right? Now, we know that, okay, so it's 15.5. So we have to look for 15, right? 15.5. So this right here is 11, right? And this right here is 19, right? So that means that 15.5 must be what? 15.5 must be between 15.5 must be between 11 and 19. And so that's how we're gonna figure it out. So that means that the median, right, must be 2, right? Must be a 2. Why are we saying that? This is very important. So we're saying that the position of the median is going to be 15.5, right? Which means it's going to be between 11 and 19, right? Now, any number between the 11th number and the 19th number is a 2, right? So the position of the mean, what this is telling us is giving us a place where we can find our median. They're telling us that our median is going to be in the 15.5 position. So that means that it's going to be between the 15th number and the 16th number. And so if we try to figure where 15.5 is, well, that's going to be between 11 and 19. And the numbers that are between 11 and 19, all of them are 2, right? And so what does that mean? How does that look if we look at the list? Well, this is the first number, this is the second number, this is the third number, this is the fourth number, fifth, sixth, seven, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So any number between 11, so this is the 11th number, this is going to be the 12th, 13, 14, 15th number. So this one right there, this 2 is the 15th number, right? That's the 2. This 2 is the 15th number. This is the 16th number, 17, 18, 19, right? So they're telling us that our median has to be a 2 because it's 15.5 and 15.5 is among the 2s, all right? And so definitely our median has to be 2 because the position of the median is 15.5. And we saw that earlier, right? We had to add those two 2's, then divided by 2, and we still get 2. And so that means that once you see it say 15.5, right? That's telling you that, hey, your median is going to be in the 15.5 position. And so that means your median is going to be among the 2's. And if your median is among the 2's, then it must be a 2 because if it's between two 2's, you add the 2's and then you divide it by 2, so you still get 2. And if it's exactly a 2, then it's still going to be 2. So once it's among the 2's, it's still going to be 2, right? It has no option but to be 2. And so definitely 2 is the median, right? So this is one way to do it, right? Looking at the position, right? And the position is 15.5. So that means that it has to be between 11 and 19, right? And any number between 11 and 19 is a 2, right? So that means your median has no choice but to be a 2, right? Because either it's going to be a 2 exactly, or it's going to be the sum of two 2's divided by 2, which is still 2, all right? And so that means that our median is 2, all right? Okay, either way work, you can choose this way or the other way, whatever one you feel more comfortable with. Okay, let's move on to the next question here. They want us to find the modal number of occupants. Well, the mode is the one that occurs the most. And as you can see, 1 is the one that appears the most. So we say that the modal number of occupants per house is, and this is not supposed to be per house, it's supposed to be the modal occupants per car, right? Let me change that. The modal occupants per car, right? The modal occupants per car is 1, all right? So the answer is 1, that's the mode. Okay, this one says, for a mathematics project, Jessica took a survey of the number of occupants in each of the 18 houses on her street. The table below gives the results of her survey. And so it is saying that you have one house that have 2 occupants in it. You have 6 houses that have 3 occupants. You have 5 houses that have 4 occupants. You have 2 houses that have 5 occupants. You have 3 houses that have 6 occupants, and you have 1 house that have 7. And so this is it in tabular form. You can also enumerate or list the data set. And so again, we have 1 house that have 2 occupants. We have 6 houses that have 3. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 houses that have 3 occupants. We have 2 houses that have, well, 5 houses that have 4. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 5 houses. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 houses that have 4 occupants, right? And then we have 2 houses that have 5 occupants. Again, for this one, we have 5 houses that have 4 occupants. That's what I'm supposed to say. We have 5 houses that have 4 occupants. For this one, we have 2 houses that have 5 occupants. And then here we have 3 houses that have 6 occupants. And then here we have 1 house that have seven occupants. And again, for this one is saying that we have 5 houses that have 4 occupants in them. And so that's the listed version. So here they want us to figure out the total number of occupants of the houses on this street. We just have to add all this up, right? So it's going to be 2 times 1 because there's 1 house with 2 occupants. Then 6 times 3 because there are 6 houses with 3 occupants. Then 4 times 5 because there are 5 houses with 4 occupants. And then it's 5 times 2 because there is 2 houses with 5 occupants. I suppose to, oh yeah, 6 times 3 because there are 3 houses with 6 occupants, and then 7 times 1 because there's 1 house with 7 occupants. We add them all up and our answer is 75. That's the total number of occupants on this street. Okay, now we want to find the mean number of occupants per house. Now mean is we're going to take the sum of all them, which we just figured out is 75, and divided by um the amount that we have. So we have to take the sum, right, and divide it by 1 plus 6 plus 5 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1. So this is going to be the number of houses that we have. So 1, 6, 5, 2, 3, and 1. And so when we divide that, did I divide it? Did we divide it? No, I didn't divide it. So let's divide that. That's going to be 75. Surprised I didn't put the answer here. So it's going to be 75 is going to be equal to 75 divided by, okay, so we have to add 1 plus 6. 1 plus 6 is going to be what? 7, right? And then 7 plus 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 12. Then 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then 18. So it's going to be 18. Okay, so it's 75 divided by 18. Give me one moment. Let me get my calculator so we can have it done properly. So I'm going to pause it and come back with my calculator. Okay, we're back. And so we have to divide 75 by 18. And if you divide 75 by 18, at least when I divided, I remember I said I was going to get my calculator. And I did. And when I divided, I got 75 divided by 18 is going to be 4.4.166, and it continues on, right? It just continues on. So it's recurring, right? So that's going to be continuing just like that. And we could denote this in a more succinct way. So you're just going to say 4.16, right? And the 6 is recurring, so we're going to put a horizontal line on top of that. So each house, right, has about 4 people in it on average, right? That's what this is saying. Okay, so let's move on. Now we want to find out the median number of occupants per house. The median is the number in the middle, so we can list this out, and then we can cancel out. So it's gonna be, we know that this 2 goes with this 7, and then this 3 goes with this 6, and then this 3 goes with that 6, and then this 3 goes with this 6, and then this 3 goes with that 5, and then this 3 goes with this 4, and then this 3 goes with this 4. So at this point, we already know that our median, it has to be a 4. And this 4 goes with this 4. And so we're going to add them up because we have two in the middle, right? And so the median, right? The median, that whenever you have 2 numbers in the middle, you add them and divide it by 2. So the median is going to be 4 plus 4, right? So 4 plus 4. I'll close this all over 2. 4 plus 4, which is what? 8. And then we divide that by 2, which is going to be, so it's going to be 4. And so the median is definitely 4. So this is one way to do it, right? And some of you may like this way, some of you may not like this way, but there's another way that we could do it. Just like I showed in the other question, well, we can construct a table with the number of occupants, the number of houses, and then we can construct a cumulative, so we adding them. So this one is 1, that is for this 1, 2, and then we're gonna add the 1 plus 6, which is going to be 7. And that is for the 6 threes, right? So we add the 6. And then we do 7 plus 5, and that's because we have 5 numbers added, and that those 5 is the 4s that we have. So that means that from this number 4 all the way to this 2, there are 12 numbers in the data set. And then we're going to add 2. We're going to add 2. The reason why we add 2 is because the 2 is for the 2 5s that's here. That means that from this 5 all the way to this 2, we have 14 digits. And we're gonna add 3, right? And that 3, that's 14 plus 3, that's 17. That 3 stands for the 3 sixes. So that means that from this 6 all the way to this 2, there are 17 numbers in the data set. And then we have 17 plus 1, and that's adding the 7. And so that's going to be 18 numbers in the data set. So, okay, good. So what we need to do is, so that means there are a total number of 18 digits. And so remember, the position of the median is given by this formula, n plus 1 divided by 2. Well, we know that n is the amount of the digits that we have, and that's going to be 18. So it's 18 plus 1 divided by 2, and that's 19 divided by 2, and so that means it's going to be 9.5. So that means that the median is going to be anywhere between the ninth digit and the 10th digit, all right, 9.5. And so what does that mean? Well, that means that we're looking for the ninth digit and the 10th digit, so 9.5 is going to be in between the ninth digit and 10th digit. So where's 9.5 going to be? Well, we know that this 7 is that's for the 7th digit, and then we have this 12, that's for the 12th digit. So that means that the median is going to be between the 7th digit and the 12th digit, which means that the median is going to be a 4, because any number between the 7th and the 12th digit is definitely a 4. And so the median is going to be 4. Now we can obviously show this because this is the first digit right here. This is the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, right? And then all the rest of these are just 4s. And so this is the 8th, the ninth, and the 10th, right? And so that means that your median has to be a 4 because you're going to add these two numbers, then divide them by 2. And so your median has to be a 4. It's going to be a 4 anyway. And so your median has no choice but to be 4 because it's between the ninth digit and the 10th digit, which means that which basically means that it's among the 4s. And if you're among the 4s, you have no choice, but it's gonna be 4 um because either you're gonna add 2 of the 4s and then divide it by 2 to get your median, or you're just gonna choose one of the 4s. In this case, you have to add, because it's 9.5, so you have to add these two 4s and then divide it by 2 to get your median. But if it was like a whole number like 9, then it's just gonna be one of those 4s, or 10, it's just gonna be one of those 4s still. So if it's 9.5, like it has no choice but to be a 4 because it's among the 4s. And so definitely the median is 4, and so the median number of occupants per house is definitely 4. Okay, let's move on to the modal number of occupants per house. Well, the mode is the number that appears the most, so it's definitely going to be 3 because 3 appears 6 times. There's no other number that appears that much, so it's definitely going to be 3. And then we have this question. This one says that the first 8 days of the month of June, the rainfall was 17 millimeters, 8 millimeters, 0 millimeters, 13 millimeters, 8 millimeters, 10 millimeters, 17 millimeters, and 8 millimeters. Write down the modal rainfall for the first 8 days of the month. Now the mode is going to be the one that appears the most, and so the modal is going to be 8 because 8 appears 1, 2, and 3 times. There's no other number that appears more than that. Okay, now we want to figure out the mean daily rainfall for the first 8 days. Well, mean is, take the sum of all of the measurements and divide it by the number of days. And so it's going to be 17 plus 8 plus 0 plus 13 plus 8 plus 10 plus 17 plus 8, all divided by 8. And so it's going to be 81 divided by 8, which is going to be 10.125 millimeters. And that's going to be the mean daily rainfall. Now we're going to figure out the median. Well, the median, we just have to organize our numbers from least to greatest. And then we need to figure out the one that is in the middle. And so this is an even number data set because it's 8 and 8 is even. So definitely the median is going to be 2 numbers and not 1. But still, let's do it. We know that this 0 connects with this 17. We know that this 8 connects with this 17. We know that this 8 connects with this 13. And so the number that's in the middle is 2 actually, 8 and 10. So we're going to add them up and then divide it by 2. And so our median is going to be what? 9 millimeters. But let's move on to the next question. Calculate the mean daily rainfall for the entire month of June. Well, June has 30 days. And so what we have to do is we have to consider our first 8 days, right? And then fill in the rest of the days with zeros because, well, it didn't rain. So the rainfall measurement is going to be 0. So we add all them up and we divide it by 30. And so 80 divided by 30 is going to be 2.67 millimeters. And that's the 2 decimal places. Okay, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.